Right, folks, welcome back to this week's episode. And we've got Simon Weir with us again. How are you doing, Simon?
I'm good. I've turned into Bob Fleming from the Fast Show because I've got a hideous hay fever-based cough. But, I'll try not to choke over everyone. You can't catch it through the telly, so you're okay.
That's right. Hay fever's been terrible this year, hasn't it? I mean, I don't normally suffer from it, but I've been feeling the old eyes tickling and the throat stinging.
Yeah, I went up to County Durham last weekend. It was quite damp on the way up. I thought I'd be fine. I was eyes streaming, sneezing. Yeah. It was quite bad. I can't remember it being this bad, really.
Yeah, my missus suffers bad with hay fever, and she was terrible. Really early on in the year this year, she started with it. Yeah. Right, so well, you've been on the podcast before, Simon. Folks, if you've never heard of Simon before, he's a journalist, he's a writer, he is a around-the-world traveller now, and you specialise in identifying and identifying like the best biking roads that are available out there, and you also can you have some tours in your books. You've written 2 books. Well, you've got a new one come out as well, which we'll cover. You've written 2 books so far, which are The Bikers Britain and Bikers Britain The Tours. They are awesome. And in those books, you not only identify great roads, but you've got actual tours laid out there for people to follow if they wish. And you also do custom ones as well, don't you, by request on your own website?
Yep. My website, which is just my name, simonweir.co.uk, has hundreds of day trip routes, far more than in the books. And there are complete tours. There are lots of European tours on there. But the main thing is, if you want to go somewhere specific, I do plannable custom routes. So, how many hours a day you want to ride, places you want to see, tank range is all measured, so it all just fits. You get in, you just go, nothing to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, I get loads of messages off of you folks through across all the social platforms, email, and on YouTube in the comments and stuff. People asking me for recommendations, and I'm sending everybody to Simon because, I mean, I don't want to blow your own trumpet here, but you have got like an encyclopedic knowledge of the roads of the world. It is fascinating, folks. You name a place, the man knows the roads there. So he's definitely the source. Well, I think I've pretty much covered exactly who you are. Is there anything else that you want to cover in that before we crack on?
Plug the new book.
Absolutely,
new book.
Yeah. I was going to go into that later, but I have a copy here as well. It's Bikers Europe, Volume 1. Again, I thought I knew Spain. No, I don't. So, go on. And what's the story behind the book then? The new book.
I mean, this is different just because I've published it myself,
right.
Or rather, Uncle Jeff Bezos has published it for me. But whereas the other ones, I had the full might of both Bauer, who publishers of Ride, that I worked for at the time, and the AA. This one, because I kept saying, should we do this? They kept going, oh, we're not sure. I just gave up and I've done it myself. So that's the big difference. So it's got a long way to go before it breaks even. So I'm desperate to promote it. But largely, it struck me that everyone's stuck in the UK at the moment thinking, I want to go somewhere. But the number of people that don't necessarily branch out and go somewhere fresh. So really, it's just all across from the northern corner of Germany to the southern corner of Portugal. It's here is one guaranteed day trip in that area to hopefully inspire people to go somewhere a bit different. Knowing that there'll be a great ride when you get there, and you can either make your own way down there, get routes off my website, or get in touch with me to get a route to go down. But the idea is just to have a read through and go, oh, I hadn't thought of going there. That looks great. I'll try that place instead.
Yeah.
I mean, there are 60 routes in it. I set out to do 50, but I just couldn't cut down. There were just too many good roads. So we ended up with 60.
What I'll do, folks, is obviously if you're listening to the podcast, I'll try and do this audibly, and if you're watching, I'll show you. But let's just pick one here. Right, okay. So trying to show to the camera.
The Dordogne.
That one's Dordogne Day, and it literally not only is the whole route highlighted there for you in a colour map, but it is a step-by-step breakdown of, you know, a start point, an end point, places to stop and eat, things to see along the way, stuff to do in the morning, in the afternoon. It really is like step by step. So if you are quite nervous about travel, you've never done it before, the book will literally take you by the hand and take you around on these tours. And conversely, if you're a seasoned traveller, but you've just never had a look at these roads before, or maybe, like me, you've done some of the roads, but you look at what's available round about it and think, oh, I never knew that was there. So it's just a really good source of information. It's definitely stuff I'm going to devour that once we're allowed to travel again, for sure, because it's, you know, it's totally got the taste buds tickled for European travel again. I can't wait to hit the road. So thanks for that. My wife loves you now because I'm never going to be here.
I mean, you asked me because, you know, I've got the big map on the wall.
Yeah.
And I find myself sort of in the afternoon just turning around going, oh, God, yeah, that was brilliant. Yeah. And just trace that road and think, oh, I mean, that one, yeah, exactly that one from Florence to Siena. That was fabulous. I was thinking, oh, you go back there and you can just dip down there to that place. There's a good cap. And I thought, I've got to share this stuff. You know, it's pointless just me knowing it. I might as well get it out there. And yeah, hopefully it will inspire a few trips.
How many years have you been doing this? Just traveling, riding?
My first European trip was to Boldor in 1989.
Nice.
And
for the 24-hour?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, man. Chaos, isn't it?
And admittedly, at that point, I actually went as a pillion on a mate's bike.
Oh, my God.
Which was interesting. Because I at that point, I had a little CB250 RS, little single-cylinder Honda, ideal for London where I was living when I was at college. Not so great for flapping down to the south of France. So we went on, my mate Seb had a GS1000, so we went on that two up. No camping equipment, just pretty much slept rough when we got there to the city.
Did you? But you'd be too drunk to notice.
Yeah, it was chaos for 4 days. You know, but it was great, and I've been off and on ever since. So,
folks, if you've never done any of the European race meets, I mean, I've done Silverstone here, and I've done some of the other meets here in the UK, but it's quite reserved here. When you go across to Europe, especially the Boldor is a 24-hour enduro race, and it is utter carnage, isn't it? It's literally like people get great big V8 engines on the back of flatbed trucks and they're revving them by hand till the engine blows up. I saw people set fire to mopeds and ride the mopeds around the stadiums. It was just crazy. It's awesome fun, isn't it? Yeah, 100,000 people there. It's amazing.
The astonishing, I mean, I find that the Spanish and Italian races can be some of the craziest, especially, I mean, Jerez traditionally was, you know, it's like Zulu Dawn. When you know, the sort of Michael King in the morning when they kind of open the gates, and if you're inside because you're working, and you just see this kind of wave, this army come over the hill and come to us. It's quite astonishing, and the atmosphere is just amazing.
It is brilliant. It's I'm sat here reminiscing about what's the first ever lads trip away. I think that I did was with about 15 or 16 old Bill mates who were all like covert bike surveillance guys, and me who just passed my test. I was plonked in the middle on my Gixxer 600, and they just said, just sit in the middle and do what we do. And it was literally off the ferry, flat out all the way down there. And it was like, this is awesome. Loved it. What a weekend. Right. How about we crack on with questions then, bud? Because there's a wealth of questions here for us to get through, and I don't think we covered them all the last time. So first off, folks, we'll head to Patreon, patreon.com/TeapotOne, the clan. First one we got here, Philippe Martin. Hello, both. My questions. What can we do as overland travellers to improve the life of the people living in the places we visit? Memories of our own struggles during a trip are often seen as learning experiences or even fun moments. But what about everybody else's struggles? Do they have a place in our adventures memories at all? Cheers. Well, that's quite deep, first off, isn't it? So,
it is.
As travellers to foreign lands, what can do we have an obligation to help those that we find, I suppose?
I don't know. I mean, this is probably more your ballpark because I always do the soft end of travel. I like a nice motel and a comfy bed on the tarmac road. So I tend to do the shallow end of the bigger distance stuff. But I think that there is just that basic duty to be a decent human being, isn't there?
100%. Yeah.
And it is that. I know some, excuse me, some guys will take stuff to give out to kids, especially if you're in North Africa and places like that, where anytime you stop and get lots of kids hanging around, just give them all a pen or something like that. Just little things to help. There's not much you can do because, especially if you're, if you're on a long-term trip, you'll probably have given up your job to have a long enough time to do it. You're going to be a limited budget. You can't pay for everyone. You aren't a walking wallet. But stuff you can do, just small gestures, are probably more meaningful because then you're not just some other gringo coming through on a bike. You're someone who's done something to help the kids.
Absolutely.
But, it's a. I mean, what you've been in more of the hairier places. I mean, do you find that there's more of a risk that if you suddenly look like a soft target, a soft touch, you get?
Sadly, there is that. Yeah, I mean, I hate to bring it up because I only had a very small experience of the umpteen countries. Forgive my ignorance, how many countries there are within Africa. But in Africa, certainly into Mauritania, it was, everyone's running around with a handout. They want something from you. Totally understandable because they live in levels of poverty that we can't fathom here in the developed world. But it goes the other way in that if you do stop, they'll literally take everything off of you at times. It's a difficult one. And as you said, you can't help everybody. My answer to this one is that, we have that obligation. I don't even feel obliged. I think it's just us as normal, decent people. You want to help others if you see somebody in need. And there are countless sort of overland travelers out there who have either set off with a set cause in mind, that they want to go to a certain place and they want to help, whether that's digging wells, whether that's helping to fundraise to bring eye surgeons to a village to help people who've got cataracts, you name it. The overland travelers have done things like that, and there's also countless other overland travelers who throughout their journey have identified a need, have identified that, oh my God, this needs some help here. And they've either stopped and that has then become their adventure, their journey, because they've stayed there and they've helped build the infrastructure, they've helped do whatever's needed. Or alternatively, they then use their social media presence to start bringing attention towards it and helping that way. There's loads of people out there that have done stuff like that. There's a guy called Graham. His channel was called Brain Rotting. I think he's taken it down now for some reason. It used to be on YouTube, but it was a chap called Brain Rotting. It's a fantastic YouTube series all around Central and Southern America, and he did exactly that. In South America, he identified, I think, a local community that really needed some help, and he fell in love with that community, and he did everything he possibly could. He's been back umpteen times since he came back to the UK to help, with these people do whatever it was that they needed doing over there. So there's plenty of people out there doing it, Philippe, for sure. I don't think we should force anyone to do stuff like that. If it's in your nature and it's something you want to do, then you're going to do a good job about it, aren't you? But if you try and force people to do stuff in return for their trip, they must just do this, I don't think that's the way to go. No.
I think that it's almost insoluble, isn't it? Because the world is full of problems, and if you look for them, you'll drive yourself mad, and you'll lose the point of your trip.
Of course, and we have enough issues here in the UK. I mean, if you want to help out, there's umpteen things you can do here in the UK as well, isn't there? So, yeah, just help whenever you can. That's all I would say. Next one, Matt Jordan. Hi to you both. This is a really simple question. Excellent. Good. Hope this is not a deep one. I'm lucky enough to have a month off work coming up. Is there a specific part of the UK you can recommend exploring at this time of year? Also, Bruce, do you sleep with your beard over or under the blankets? I'll cover that one first, if I may, Simon. Always over. Always over. I have my arms outside the blanket and my beard outside the blanket. If I have a blanket. That's a sight for you. Over to you, Simon. So, in the UK.
A whole month, frankly, you could do all of mainland Britain. You could have a fantastic time going over to Ireland. That much time, you've got the luxury of not rushing. It's probably better to work out if there are any particular places you haven't been, or places where you've gone through really quickly and just seen the highlights. I mean, for me, I would kind of start at Leeds and work my way north. I think everyone knows there's some good riding in the Yorkshire Dales, there's some good riding in the Lakes and Cumbria and the Pennines. There's loads of great riding there, and not just the big famous routes. I mean, the catch with the books is that they focus on the roads that, the headline roads. So, you grab one of those, it'll take you to the kind of the must-ride routes. But the guy who lives there will say, it's full of bloody tourists. I prefer this road. Yeah. You've got that much time that you can go there. You can ride the big road, then ride the small road that's parallel, then ride the smaller road that's parallel to that. You can really explore. It's probably best, to be honest, to have maybe a couple of bases. If you've got that much time, maybe spend 3 days based in Alston, and then move on, spend 3 days based in Moffat, then move up and spend 3 days based in Perth, and work your way around and cloverleaf out each day and really get to know all those little areas. Or you could do a big challenge, do the whole coastline on B roads. Yeah.
I just did a ridiculous ride last weekend. I had the new Sinus 125, the new terrain. It's like the old one, but it's liquid cooled now, and it's got a whopping 12.7 brake horsepower. God, I think it's got almost 1 horsepower more than the previous one. Wow! So for some reason, I don't know why, I had this thing in my head that I'm going to ride around the UK. So I did the four corners. But I did the, what do they call it? It's not the Iron Butt 4 Corners Challenge. I think they call it the Full Monty, where you go right round. Yeah. So I did that on this bloody 125, and it was horrendous, to be perfectly honest. I was just in utter pain. My left eye blew out, or was it my right eye? One of my eyes blew out. Just, because you've hardly slept in like 2.5 days or whatever it was. It was terrible. But anyway, when I got
2.5 days, the 125, jeez.
Yeah. I left 2:30 Friday morning, and I got home, I think it was 9:30, 9:45 Sunday night. I was just a bit. Just under 2,500 miles, I think it was 2.3, 2.4, something like that. But anyway, my point of that was when I got to Ness Point, I bumped into this chap who was doing exactly that. He had a month off work and he was going right around the UK, but he was enjoying it as he went, and he just said it's the best experience he's ever had. It was just him on a bike, devouring all the roads in front of him, and he said he went places that he'd always wanted to see. He had the time to do it, and he loved it. Absolutely loved it.
I mean, a whole month. It's you could not just do the North Coast 500 or whatever. You could do all of the good bits around it that everyone misses because they're just following the brown signs.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
There's so much scope. I mean, at this time of year, to be honest, it will be busier by the seaside. As you come to school holidays, especially with people not going abroad, the big tourist areas will be busier. So you may be better looking at the quieter, sort of more inland bits. So looking, around the Welsh Marches, around the borders there, looking around inland East Anglia, maybe stay around away from the coast. There's some fabulous riding to discover.
Yeah, definitely.
It might be quieter, whereas if you're doing the 149 along the north coast of Norfolk, that will be rammed with caravans.
Conveyor belt, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so there's a lot of merit in kind of going towards the popular places, then stopping about 4 or 5 miles inland, finding the roads around there.
Definitely. Have you tried Kalimoto? I can't remember if we chatted about this the last time.
Yeah, it's. I did a lot of phone app testing when I was on Ride, and they've all moved on a bit since then. But Kalimoto, which is good because it works on Android phones as well. Kalimoto and Scenic, which only works on iPhone, are the two that I use if I'm using the phone. I went all the way around Australia using the phone app rather than using the sat nav because I wasn't paying for the Garmin Maps for Australasia because it's so expensive. And yeah, what's good is I do like the kind of the random route finding aspect of it, especially if you're exploring. It can be good, but at the same time they also frustrate me because they'll take you on a nice wiggly route through a housing estate because it's
absolutely
a twisty route when actually what you want is just get on the bypass, go around the town, and then get back on the twisty stuff on the other side. So like all technology, I think the real secret is to look at the road and overrule it.
Absolutely,
that sat nav took me down an unpaved road. No, it didn't. You went down the unpaved road because it suggested it, but you could have ignored it. You could have just
like the people.
It would have had to think its way around and keep you on the tarmac.
It's like the people that drive into a river because, like, well, the sat nav told me to go that way. And you're like, what about common sense? I've got some like tutorial vids coming up on Cali, and that's exactly the points that I raise in them is that you do have to sort of like zoom out and have a little overall perspective of the route ahead and go, oh, okay, then, well, that obviously is not, as you said, the algorithm will send you through the housing estate, or it'll, rather than just put you onto the, I don't know, let's just say the A19, you're on the A19 and it takes you off for about 400 yards to rejoin the A19 on this nonsensical little, you just have to put a little bit of forethought into it. But as you said, the random ride feature is fantastic. I love that. I use it a lot in my reviews and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually, I find it quite useful sometimes. If you get, if there is a real danger when you're in one place, riding the same roads all the time.
Aye.
Sometimes it's a really good way of just mixing things up. And 9 times out of 10, you come back and go, why on earth did it go? But for the one time when it does take you on a road that you haven't found before, you can live there. I'm back in Norfolk where I grew up. So I've been riding here intermittently for more than 30 years. And it can still every now and then throw up one random great little road and you go, I'll add that. I've ridden past that a million times and never known that was there.
Yeah.
Now I know it. So it's great for that.
I used your I was riding up to my brother's last year, I think it was, and I thought I'm not doing a motorway because I always normally just jump on the motorway and it's soul destroying, isn't it? And I thought, I'm going to do the back road route. Let's just see how long this is going to take. So I had a spare day to get up there, and I used your books there, and I plotted like all the good roads sort of between my house and Perthshire up there, and I thought, I'm going to try and do is sort of direct a route as I can following all these good roads. And I just plotted them all on Kalimoto. And it was an awesome day. It was an absolutely awesome day. I think it probably took me 2.5 hours longer than if I just sat on the motorway. Because I could, because of doing exactly what you said, having a look at the route that Cali was plotting and your routes, the bits in between them all, and trying to identify where it's taking you through the housing estate or it's, the nonsensical bits, and just join them all up. And it was a great day. Loved it. So that's what I do all the time now.
That's the trick with all route planning, really, is to avoid dual carriageways and dull roads until it's better than the alternative.
Absolutely.
Because if you're going to slog your way down from north to south or south to north, especially if you're going up the kind of the west half of the country, there comes that point where are you really going to enjoy picking your way through village, 40 mile an hour zone village, 40 mile an hour zone village, or shall I just sit on the bloody M6 for a bit because it's a terrible road, but it's better than the stop start constant frustration.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, just chew up some mileage to get you to the good stuff. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right, next one, Mark Fulcher. Oh, here we go. Hi up, my ducks. Nice to see Simon back on the podcast. So a question to you both. What's the most annoying thing that you notice about other people's bikes and the way they keep them? For example, mine is when you see a really dirty chain that's not tensioned and just generally bogging. Yes, Bruce, proper bikes do have chains. Secondly, let's do that first one then. So the most annoying thing you notice on other people's bikes.
I personally hate non-standard indicators.
Do you?
Don't ask me why. But it's less of a thing now. But certainly in the 90, particularly in the sort of 1990s and the early 2000s, you'd have sort of functional, useful, slightly ugly, big chunky indicators that were always ripped off and replaced by tiny little crappy bubbles on the side of a bike for no reason. Why waste your money on that? All the pink anodized bling, which it's personal taste, but I can't see how it improves the bike. All it does is make it look a bit nasty. I suppose I look at things like that as being about function, and sometimes switching to LED indicators might make them brighter, but generally they seem to make them less useful. Harder to see, so they're not doing their job of giving a signal to other road users when it's necessary, and they just don't fit with the look of the bike. I've never understood why you change your indicators.
Yes, okay, officer. Okay, officer. I'm going to get you a white hat.
Right.
Do you know, for me, I can't think of anything on a bike that annoys me that other people have. But what I just don't see the point of are those people that wear like teddy bear outer sleeves over their lid with staffed ears and stuff on them. I don't get it. Like, to me, it's the equivalent of a grown up wearing mittens with a bit of string between the two of them. I just don't get it.
Yeah,
yeah, or a onesie. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm just old or have no sense of fun. I don't know, but I don't get that.
Yeah, no, I'm with you there, and it's like naming bikes.
It's what?
People who name their bikes. I don't understand. It has a name. It's written on the side of it.
I do it.
I know lots of people do, but I don't know whether it's just because when you're road testing, you've got bikes coming through all the time.
Yeah.
But I've always owned bikes, but don't give them names because it's a piece of metal.
You got no soul, Simon. You got no soul.
I don't know. It's just to me, it's names are for things that will answer you back. Like children who always answer back,
Yeah, I've had some names for my son. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just a mindset, isn't it? It's a different way of looking at it.
I suppose each to their own, isn't it? That's the kind of way you need to look at it, isn't it? It's everyone's different. It's what makes us us. It'd be boring if we were all the same.
Yeah, I suppose it on the psychological level, I don't imbue the bike with a personality because I don't want to excuse, that's just character. That's just what it's like. It's either working or it's not. I don't want to accept quirks like irrational starting or not turning right properly. I want to investigate why it's not doing what it's doing. And not go, it's just character.
That is annoying. I had an Aprilia Tuono, and the dealership's attitude to when it didn't like to start at times, and 4,000 miles, the valve clearances were all way out. They were just like, it's a Tuono. It's an Aprilia. And I'm like, that's not the bloody attitude to have. That's ridiculous. It's insane. Anyway, second question from Mark. Secondly, this week I've experienced fried onions on a sausage and bacon cob. Bloody changed my world. Have you guys found any new culinary delights recently? Keep up the good work, gents. Sidey side up. All right.
I review restaurants as one of the things I do for the local paper that I work on. And I recently had a baked butternut squash. I've never had one of these before.
Ooh.
Well, I didn't have it. My girlfriend had it because she's a veggie. And that pretty much reinvented my attitude to veg. That was pretty good. It's not kind of roadside food, it's sort of posh restaurant food, but it was really nice.
Baked butternut squash. Oh, I see.
Roasted maybe they called it, but yeah, it's really nice.
We were one of our next door neighbours had a bit of a get together about 2 years ago, and we went round and she made this. I think it was called the Sri Lankan. I was chatting with Matt Pritchard on here last week, and he's a full-on veggie now, full-on vegan. And we were chatting about dishes and stuff. And one of the Sri Lankan curries came up because they're all vegetable-based. And I was telling him about this curry that our neighbour cooked. Honestly, it was one of the tastiest things I've ever tasted, and she's given us the recipe now. I'll make it here. It's gorgeous. It's lovely. Really, really is nice. So many different flavors. I don't know.
Send me the recipe.
I will. I'll forward it on. Yeah, I don't know if any biker calves are going to adopt that or not. You have a bowl of Sri Lankan vegetable curry. Yeah, I think I would stick with the bacon roll myself. Bike-wise, biker food. Nah, I can't think of anything really that I've discovered of late. I just always go with the faithful, just, bacon and egg, brown sauce, job done.
I'm a big fan of the BSE, the bacon sausage egg.
Oh, right, okay.
Full heart attack in a bun.
That's the one. That's the one. Beautiful. Calves then, come on. I don't know if anyone's asked anything about this. What's your favourite calf, biker calf?
I really like the Two Flags diner in Morcott, which was on the edge of the A47, just down by the office near Peterborough, because it did an exceptional BSE. Really good quality roll, really nice bacon, good sausages, and very bike friendly. And it's just a little hut, but there are. I think the quality has gone up in the last 10 years in biker calves.
Yeah.
Places like Super Sausage on the A5, that's really good. And I think it's made a lot of the traditional biker calves kind of raise their game.
Yeah.
Obviously the bike shed is another thing entirely, really. That's a lot more.
Absolutely, yeah. You can't really call that a bike calf, can you?
It's more a lifestyle experience, but it really shows what's possible,
Yeah, definitely.
And I think a lot of places have kind of gone, oh, maybe we could be a bit more, brioche bun and a burger, handmade burger, which is good. You get good food now. It's not just sort of greasy and fatty and quick. Yeah.
It is weird, isn't it, when you look at the whole biking scene, how it's gone from the greasers and the sort of outlaws right through to now, we're all 40s, 50s, 60s accountants, sort of well-to-do, money to spend, expect a little bit more.
Well, I think it's that, when, I started riding in the 80s when bikes were cheap transport, and now they're not. They're a rich man's hobby.
Yeah.
So it's changed. It is that thing of, we spend more on the hobby, so we expect more out of it. We expect a better, richer experience at every level, don't we?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely. It's nice to see I'm definitely seeing, maybe it's just being on social media, but I'm definitely seeing a sort of younger generation coming in. There seems to be a wave of youngsters, and by youngsters, I'm talking sort of, your early 20s, mid-20s, that sort. There's definitely a wave of new blood starting to come in, which is awesome to see, because for a while it was sort of devoid of any of that, wasn't it?
Yeah. It kind of, I remember going from always being the youngest person in any given group to suddenly now I'm kind of the oldest at any given group. That's quite worrying.
Yep, definitely. I've noticed that in my life too. Yeah. So I've got to grow up. I'm not ready to grow up yet. I still don't know what I want to do when I grow up. Anyway, next one. What was that?
Growing up's overrated.
Yeah, oh yeah. I have no intention of doing that. TJ, Shady Lane. Hi, guys. Loved the first book. Question for both. In all the places you've stayed, what's the worst thing you've ordered by accident? And have you ever drunk a stein of Thatcher's? Thanks to you both for the fabulous entertainment. Keep up the good work, TJ. TJ, the Thatcher's thing comes from, we did a meetup the other weekend for all my Patreon folk, the clan. We did a weekend up in the North Yorkshire moors. One of the chaps, Pete, who lives up there, Pete English, he took us on an awesome route around there. But anyway, Saturday night in the hotel, one of the chaps is a little bit technically inept, and you have to order everything on your app. And he was there for about 25 minutes, half an hour, trying to figure out this app to order something. And eventually he ordered. And what came was a procession, like 80 odd quid's worth of beer, all just started arriving. And one of them was like a German stein of Thatcher's cider. It was just never ending.
But
God. Anyway, worst thing you've ever ordered by accident? Oh, no, me either.
I can't drink cider anymore. From when I was a teenager, drinking it in the town I now live in. We used to go on the top of the castle mound and drink cheap cider. And I remember falling down in a big rotational dramatic fashion into the nettles at the bottom after about 2 meters of going down. Never, ever touched it again. It's not by accident. We used to, when I was doing the big European research rides for Ride, we'd always try and find what's the local speciality.
Yeah.
And the worst thing I got, we stopped in a place called Aracena in southern Spain. Lovely little town. Sort of old world Spain, really charming. Lots of art installations around the place. We went into this restaurant. Where's the place for the good local food? And they said, oh yeah. We went in and said, what's the local speciality? It's this fabada a la reina, which is fabada's a bean stew, fantastic. A la reina, that's the Queen's version. That's got to be good. Yeah, tripe and beans.
Oh God!
We had one in Cuenca. It's always in Spain.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
In Cuenca, we said, what's the local speciality? And they tried to explain it. Didn't really understand. So yeah, bring it anyway. And we got this pot of brown stuff with flatbreads to dip into it, and it was delicious. I have no idea what it was. It could have been cat food, but it tasted great.
Yeah. Well, as soon as you were saying that about Spain, I thought, my example's Spain as well, up in the north, and it's the same thing. You just stop and you eat where the locals eat, and you chat away with the waiter or whatever, and what's the norm here? What's the speciality? And it is all up there, isn't it? In lunchtime, it is all meat and potato and veg, but the meat can be anything. I've got no idea. Like this sort of, I'd like to say it was a sausage. We hope it was a sausage, but there was yeah, some bull somewhere or horse somewhere is squeaking quite high now. But this thing arrived in a bowl, and yeah, nobody was brave enough to munch into the sausage. We just ate the veg right about it. Next one, Kai Stroud. Hello, both. Question, maybe for you both. Are there any lesser known places or roads in Wales that are both beautiful and nice to ride? I loved Wales when I was there and would love to spend longer in that part because it seems you can't go wrong.
Lesser known, I'm not sure. I mean, but yeah, it's absolutely stuffed full of good roads. I mean, I was born in Haverfordwest, which is the far west, and always used to go back to see my gran. And my first sort of bike trip when I just passed my test was to go to Wales and ride around at 17.
Nice.
And I absolutely love it. I mean, for me, Ellen Valley is always a safe one. They're all quite well known. I mean, the off the beaten track ones are few and far between, really, because so much of it is sort of well known. And the quieter ones tend to be the narrow ones. So if you want a really quiet road, it's likely to be grass down the middle, sheep on the verges. Yeah. If you want nice broad 2 lanes smooth tarmac, and there's lots of that, you might see other vehicles. But I mean,
Yeah.
to put it in perspective, it's not like riding with 272 in the south of England. It's, by comparison, it's going to seem virtually empty if you're used to riding in Kent.
Absolutely.
But I mean, probably my favourite road is the one that goes from Blaenau-Festiniog over towards Bala, and then carries on the other side of Bala. Road number I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's a lovely little back lane that goes from Bala to the back of Llanfernwy, which is, you know, over a cattle grid. It's about 4.5 inches wide. You know, sheep and red kites and all kinds of stuff going on around you. That's really quite exceptional. I mean, Gospel Pass, Wales's highest road. That can be, I mean, that's properly narrow. I had a guy that went over it earlier in the year and said that the descent on it was quite hairy because the surface was so bad. There was water running down it, mud everywhere. So, yeah, maybe it's better in the dry. That's a stunningly good road. Some of the stuff over between sort of Usk and sort of heading in towards the beacons, people tend to kind of come into, it's like the Scottish borders, you know, people think Scotland starts north of Glasgow, so they miss all that stuff there.
Yeah,
and so people coming into Wales often think, well, it starts, you know, Brecon and points west, but actually there's lots of good riding just a bit further east, just over the border. From between Monmouth and Abergavenny, there's some great roads.
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Again, this isn't a plug for Cali, but when I'm out that way, if I haven't got time constraints, then I just chuck it on like twisty option between a couple of different points, specifically to do what you just said, is to explore all those bits that, you know, when you look at like a route map, it won't send you down. It won't send you down those back roads. So that's why I like to use, you know, the app and explore all of them. And as you said, there's some absolute cracking roads up that neck of the woods.
One of the most famous roads is the Black Mountain Road from Brynam to Llangalog, that's where my gran lived. That's where I kind of grew up until I was really exported at the age of 3.5, 4 to England.
I was going to say, you say the place names very well.
Practice, but only for 1 or 2 because I get in trouble if I get them wrong. But there's a lovely little back road that goes from Trecastle over the top of the mountain past, they call the Vans, or Fans if you're English. But it goes over the top of the mountain and drops down and joins the Black Mountain Road. And that's a lovely sort of quiet bit of tarmac. You only really get people who are going up there to walk up Penny Fan.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I did a thing over there on the little 125s with Richie Vida and Mr. Fish. And we met up with some mates over there, locals, and they took us on some like local back roads and things. It was awesome to ride with the locals on the roads that they use, which even in the video, a lot of people who ride Wales really frequently were like, I've never seen that. Where is it? And you're like, not telling.
Up through Mudfide or places like that.
Yeah. My eye was just drawn to the end of the next question.
Okay.
Wow. Okay. This is from Matt Purcell. As I missed a chance to ask Matt Pritchard my question, I figured I'd recycle it. Oh, God. I think my question would be, what was and when was the last time you saw something that stopped you in your tracks and had you stare at it in awe and amazement as it tickled your soul? Or you can answer the next question. I'm going to leave it as a gamble. I'm not going to tell you what the next question is. You either answer that one or the next one.
I mean, that one's an easy one, really, for me, because it's just the Grand Canyon. Just absolutely floored me. So let's try the other one, because that one's so easy and predictable.
Okay. I mean, it would be the Grand Canyon for me as well for that first one. Yeah. Next one. Where is the strangest place you found yourself having a danger wank?
I can't answer that. I think I can answer that with a different anecdote, which gives you an insight into the kind of people that end up road testing. which was one of my colleagues was telling a story about how he was in the back of the van trying to strap a bike down, and the wind caught the drawer, boom, threw it shut, and he's just in there in the back of the van going, oh Christ, where is the door? Is there a release on the inside? I haven't got my mobile phone. How long am I going to be stuck in the back of a van? And the first question one of the people listening said was, oh, did you have a wank? First thing he thought, I mean, trapped in the van, door shut, oh well, I'll knock one out.
Well, you know, bikers will be bikers. Right, we'll draw a discreet veil over that one, Matt. Thanks very much for the question, bud. Jeez, I'm glad I never got that question with Matt Pritchard. I dread to think what he would have said. Next one, Stuart Bailey. For both of you, privacy versus security. Do you think the amount of surveillance and monitoring on social media, smart devices, roads and cities is an acceptable trade-off against privacy? Does it make you feel safe, or would you feel safer knowing that your privacy is protected?
I am not a big fan of Big Brother. I don't see any benefits to the surveillance culture. I suppose from an anti-theft point of view, maybe it's useful, especially in cities, but how it impacts on social media, no, I see no benefits. I'd rather just go around, do my own thing, and share what I feel is appropriate to be shared, and keep everything else private. You know,
it's interesting because in my previous life in the old Bill, my attitude and the vast majority of my colleagues, mates that I knew was, you hear all these people moaning about, you know, Big Brother, etc. And I just used to say, it doesn't bother me. If you're not doing anything wrong, what have you got to hide? And in certain cases, it is really good, because if somebody, you know, terrorism and things like that, they've got the face tracking software built into CCTVs all around the centre of London, so as soon as someone comes up, they can pinpoint them against the databases, and it's proper James Bond stuff. So awesome. So it's brilliant. However, the flip side of that now is the other side on social media for me is, you know, people getting cancelled and you can't say this, you can't say that. I think that's dangerous. I think we're now sort of forcing people to conform to what somebody somewhere has decided. This is the right way to think. This is the right thing to say. And I don't think that's right. I think if you allow people the platform to have free speech, whether you agree with it or not, whether it's totally abhorrent or not, if it is, then you know they're there. You know they're there, and you know that's what they think. So, you know, if you choose to think that way, you can go there and watch it. And conversely, if you don't agree with what they're saying, you don't watch it, do you? But at the same extent, you know they're there. They're not hiding. They're openly doing it. So you can monitor that if you want. And if it's people cutting the heads off animals or cutting the heads off other people online, well, it's there. Do something about it. Whereas if you're forcing people to hide away their true beliefs and their true thoughts, surely it's going to be a lot harder to identify, you know, that type of person. Yeah,
it's not a very bikey question, is it? It's
not. Yeah, it's not. So it's another deepie.
I'm a, you know, irritating lefty libertarian, so I
I get that. I do get that. And
for me, it's an extension of the thinking that puts a 50-mile-an-hour sticker on a road, says, well, this is the safe speed to ride this road, children. Yeah. I'll decide that because I've got a bit more experience than a piece of metal and a can of paint, you know. And it is that mother knows best kind of approach. But I like paint on roads when it's used properly, you know, because you can read the road based on what the paint is.
Absolutely.
What I don't like is the way that signage and restrictions are used to replace common sense and driver training. And I think it's all wrapped up in that control culture. And it's an attitude that some kind of central arbiter of thought and morals knows better than you. Well, we should be able to make our own decisions.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree. Absolutely. I'm into that. Next one, Smoky Gun. Question for both. As you're clearly well travelled, what place always takes your breath away each time you visit? Well, I mean, Grand Canyon's definitely one of them, but anywhere else?
I mean, anywhere with mountains, generally. You know, I love being in the mountains. So why I live in Norfolk is a bit of a mystery. Quite short on the Alpine peaks around here. But you know, if I could live anywhere in Europe, it would be Briançon in the French Alps, just because in every direction there's amazing riding. But you know, one of those places that every time never fails to make you go, is Gorge de Verdun. You know, you go down there, you've got at the bottom, you've got the great big, astonishingly blue lake. You kind of ride around there, and then you climb up, depending on which direction you're going, you either climb up to it. And every time you kind of come around a hairpin, there's this big lake, and then you come around the corner, there's this crazy gorge. Or if you go the other way, you know, you're riding along the edge of the drop, looking down, and then you come around and you see this great big panorama of the lake at the end of it. That is always a proper take your breath away kind of ride. Most of Corsica does that, to be honest. Right. Especially if you go around Cap Corse, around the coast road, around the edge, which is it's the most alternating road you'll ever find, because they seem to have spent money on it in random chunks. So you'll have one bit that is absolutely racetrack grade, and the next bit is like a tarmac cattle grid for 7 miles. And it's just going, I think just as you think I've lost all sensation in my fingers, you hit another perfect bit, you think, well, I'll keep going. And it's literally they don't seem to do gentle corners. Every corner's about 110 degrees.
Yeah.
A cliff on one side, amazing blue sea on the other. It's stunning. And then if you're a bit further down, you go through this bit, the Red Rocks at Piana, it's called. You're riding through this crazy landscape, kind of almost like Bryce Canyon in the States, on these big red rocks and kind of random. So this little road twisting its way around it. It's just fabulous. Corsica is one of those places that never fails to take your breath away.
Have you ridden in Greece?
Only on the CB1000 and Seville launch years ago. But my first big European trip was before the fall of the Iron Curtain, and we hadn't kind of managed it properly, so we couldn't get through Yugoslavia. Kind of, who are you? Where are you going? No. Fuck off. So we kind of didn't persevere with it, whereas we probably could have done. But it looks astonishing. I mean, that was a big part of my plan, was to come back and spend more time learning about Balkans and down to that corner, because I think there's everything I see, all of the riding I've done on launches in Croatia has been quite staggering. Interesting driving. I mean, have they actually used cars before they got mobile phones? I don't know. They could only drive like that. So it's the bits I've done there have been quite impressive. But the stuff I know properly, Corsica and the Alps are probably the most.
I'm looking forward to. I'm involved in a bit of a project, actually. We're not entirely sure exactly when it's going to be happening, but it involves quite a big road trip all the way down to Greece and back to the starting location, and I'm really looking forward to that, because it's a part of excuse me, it's a part of Europe I've really not spent any time in, so I'm really looking forward to doing it. Just got to figure out when it's happening at the moment.
You know where I am.
Do you know? I'll keep you in mind, actually, and speak with the other parties involved. It could be a goer. I'll chat to you about it after. Definitely. Right, so that is us done on Patreon. Thank you very much, folks, for all your questions there in the clan. We'll head to Instagram now, so that's at TeapotOne Insta. First one, Nick and Nutsford. A question for both of you. What are your views on the wearing of airbag vests and jackets?
Um, I don't believe it can hurt, so why wouldn't you? Equally, they're quite expensive, so I wouldn't fret if you can't afford it. You know,
Yeah,
it's the same as wearing a crash helmet in some respects, isn't it? It's only going to be necessary if something goes wrong.
yeah,
Obviously, there's a legal requirement to wear a crash helmet, but it's the same thing as armored jeans rather than supermarket jeans, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not wearing them for when everything goes according to plan. You only need it if something goes wrong. And if something goes wrong, why not have the best protection you can get? It has to help, so why not if you can afford it?
Yeah, I mean, you just need to look at the racers and look at some of the accidents they literally get up and walk away from, and you think, wow, and they've got those whole inflatable suits that they're wearing. I've never worn one. I've never worn either the airbag vest or a jacket, but I certainly would if I either had the money to buy one or was given one. I'd certainly give it a bash.
I mean, I think
so
for me the issue has been the weight and especially when you're riding somewhere really hot. It's another layer when actually what you really want is just airflow. And so it'll make things hotter and sweatier. And I'm a big believer in not letting yourself overheat and dehydrate, because you stop thinking properly, because you do. Your brain shuts down as you kind of overheat. But in the UK, that's very rarely an issue, isn't it?
Thankfully, it's not something we really need to.
Out, so that's great.
Is it waterproof? Axe Adventure. Question for you both. Favorite packed lunch snack on the road? Oh.
My big weakness is Mexican food.
Okay.
And you can always wrap a burrito and take that with you. So if you can find somewhere doing really good burritos, it's one of the reasons I loved riding in America. If you can find a really good Mexican restaurant or a good Mexican sort of food truck, the less posh, the better. Generally, the posh ones are never very hot. If you find the slightly down the hill ones, they always cook really proper spicy food. And so, if you can find somewhere that will do a proper, well-wrapped burrito, stick in your lunchbox, that's the one for me.
Job done. See, I find I'll not go into details, but my stomach is not particularly good. So I try not to eat too much when I'm away on the bike, because the end result of that isn't good. So I tend just to have, the little Eat Natural bars. I'll maybe just have one or two of them with me. So I'll just have that, try and eat light during the day if I can, and then make up for it in the evening once I'm bedded down in a base somewhere.
Yeah, certainly. When I'm on the road, I tend to do big breakfast, not very much during the day, evening meal.
I generally won't even have breakfast most of the time. Just, I don't know why. When I'm on the road, my stomach is terrible. It's bad when I'm at home, but when I'm on the road, I don't know what it is. Don't know why. But anyway, Airhead Rick just got my copy of the new book, and he's making plans. Oh, that's good to hear.
That's good. Nice. Thank you.
There you go. Happy days. That's what you want to hear.
Yes.
Next one, The Arctic Rider. Gordon, how you doing? Simon, I love Bikers Britain. It's a great book. Question for you both. If you could only ride in one country for the rest of your life, which country would it be and why?
That's a very good question. Possibly the US, because you've got so much variety, and France for the same reason, or Spain. Very close between France or Spain. It was interesting doing when I did the first Bikers Britain book. I tried to get a friend of mine who's a French guy to put a review, and he put a review in his mag, but very reluctantly. And he said, French. Our readers, they don't leave France. Why would they? We have everything. We have the mountains, we have the plains, why would we go anywhere else? Plus, they don't speak the other languages, but they're just as bad as us in that respect. So for me, maybe America, because I don't have to learn the language, but you've got, we could spend just Utah, Colorado, Arizona, just
Do you know, I think that's quite overlooked, isn't it?
Oh,
The States is overlooked a lot by European bikers because I don't know why. Well, it's expensive, I suppose, and it's quite a way to go, but it does have everything. It's so diverse. It's massive, and it's so diverse.
yeah, and Montana, 80 mile an hour speed limit and $1 speeding fine if you break that. So what's not to love?
That's what puts me off France now. I used to love riding in France, but they just seem to be hammering down on Brits, like British bikers, and speeding and exhausts, number plates. It's almost like having the Welsh old bill over in France now. I'm just like, I'll leave that. I'll just go to Spain and live in the mountains, enjoy myself up there. Yeah, for me, it would be Spain purely because as long as you don't take the mick in the towns and the villages and you save it for the mountains, it's just freedom. I love the riding over there. Weather up in the north can be a little bit UK based, can't it? But it can also be scorching hot. So it's just one of those things. Yeah, nice. Next one, Kendon 452. Question for you both. When traveling, what food do you prefer? Commercial, restaurants, cafes and such, or making your own the simple way on the side of the road with what you can get in local shops?
I'm far too lazy to cook. And also it's just time, isn't it? Generally when I'm doing trips and it's just me, I will normally buy lunch in a supermarket. So it might just be, bread and make a sandwich, but generally just pre-packed salad, because I don't want anything big and heavy in the day. So I'm normally just trying. I've become a big fan of the plastic packet salad, and I hate the plastic packaging. But I find salad and a bottle of juice in a lay-by. That's all I need.
Yeah.
But for the evenings, I would far. I enjoy cooking, but when I'm at home and I've got things to play with, knives and sushi blenders and all that kind of malarkey.
Sushi blenders.
It's fun making noise and mess, isn't it? Forget to put the sprays everywhere. But it's what you can do with one burner and one pot in a campsite is always a bit disappointing. I'd rather find a good Mexican restaurant and have something scorching hot.
Do you know there's going to be loads of people out there who are ardent campers who are going, ridiculous, I can cook anything on my one little stove.
It's a skill I don't have.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's something I have never done at all. I'm the same as you. If it's just me, then, or when me and my mates used to hit the road on these ridiculous, stupid, high mileage, really intensive tours across Europe, then we would stop at a supermarket. You get, a baguette, you'd get a packet of cheese, packet of meat if you wanted it, a slab of chocolate, and then that would go in your bag, and we'd just live off that for 3 or 4 days during the day. In the evenings, you'd eat in a restaurant once you'd found a hotel or somewhere to stay at. But during the day, it's as you said, just find a beauty spot, stop that side of the road, break a bit of bread off, bit of cheese on there, bish bash bosh, and back you go. But obviously, when I do my tours, I can't do that. We stop at cafes, and you have a proper big lunch, and you always eat too much. So in the afternoon, you're absolutely stuffed.
Yeah, that first hour after lunch, you're nodding off.
It's terrible, isn't it? I always say to people every time, I'm like, because by lunchtime, everyone is just blown away by the quality of the riding in the morning. And for them, it's like, oh, we'll have lunch and we'll be in the hotel and that'll be us. And, we can start planning tonight. And I'm like, don't lose the game now. Keep concentrating, because this is the danger part in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And the amount of times people have near misses. God.
I think for me, one of the big dangers for the big lunch is that it's washed down with a can of Coke and a cup of coffee, which is great for kind of a short-term caffeine boost, but then it's a diuretic, so you just dehydrate.
That's it.
And suddenly you're riding along, your brain's desiccated, all the blood's left your brain for your stomach, so it's chewing up the food, you're sweating more than you should do, and you just can't think.
Yeah.
For me, it's just, Weeble used to call me the rehydration Nazi when we were on the trip, because every time we stop saying, drink some water.
It's so true, though. It's so true. Yeah, I really notice that I suffer now with dehydration in the sense of, as you said, my concentration goes, your fine motor skills, they go, don't they, compared to what they're like normally. First thing in the morning when you're all switched on and you're in your head, you're razor sharp. As you said, like later on in the day, you suddenly realise I've not drunk any water. I've had coffees or teas or fizzy juice, but I've not had water all day. And you have the sun beating down on the back of your neck. Yeah,
because you've got to get that. You've got to manage your own internal tank rate, because if you're stopping to empty your bladder every 20 minutes, that's a bit of an issue. So you don't want to take on too much stuff. But normally, by the time you notice that you're thirsty, it's too late. You're already dehydrated. So it is just kind of a little often.
You're right.
I'm just going to top up the tank range.
Over on Instagram, I don't want this to be insulting, but the amount of people, the main picture I've got of your post, have you seen it on my Instagram post? Everyone's gone, that's Josh Widdicombe.
Josh Widdicombe, MBE, thank you.
Lots of people. Next one, Mark saying, I've got 2 of his books and I've done quite a few of his tours. Loads of people saying they're enjoying it. Right, let's crack across to Facebook. So that again, that's just facebook.com/TeapotOne. First one, Will Morgan. Do you ever have qualms or guilt about publicising routes that would have otherwise remained quiet, delightful, little-known backwaters? Do they lose their appeal if there's more bike traffic? You must get this a lot.
I get this a lot, and I have the same basic answer, which is
your mum.
I don't think I make it's suggestion. I don't think it makes any significant difference to the volume that's there. People ride routes, and they are there to be ridden. And if you go to places like, the Dolomites is the classic example. They're fabulous, but they are always busy. And if you go there in summer, especially a weekend at the end of July, they are always busy. And putting a route through there doesn't make any difference. As I was saying, the drawback with the books is that generally, you play it safe, because the books aren't really for the routes in any area, aren't really for the people that live there. They're for the people coming in for the first time. So the locals will go, oh, well, I know a better road. Well, that's great. And you'll probably ride that better road. But if someone went, Yorkshire's the great example. If you go to Labour and you want to go to Hawes, there is a lovely little parallel B road. But if you don't ride the main A road, there's 648 or something like that. If you don't ride that on your first visit, you'll feel you've missed out. You have to know that headline road before you can move on to the other ones. And it's useful. But how many extra bikers are going to be on those roads? If there's one a day, I would be delighted. It's more likely getting one extra bike per week at the most. It's not going to make any substantial difference. But it's a mindset. I believe that when you know something good, it's good to share it. As opposed to, I know something good, so I'll do everything I can to stop anyone else enjoying it because it's mine. And I think that's a bit disappointing, really. I think everyone should be able to enjoy the good things.
Definitely.
It's an opportunity, isn't it?
And I think when, like the A272 down here in the southeast is a prime example. At one point, fantastic road, and it still is if you get it at the right time. And I'll not detail when the right times are, but if you ride that road at the right time, it is a stunning stretch of tarmac. However, 99.9% of the time it's full of traffic. It's 30s, 40s. There's old Bill on it at times. But what it does do, well, for me anyway, is it's forced me off that to look at other roads, and you find other gems that nobody's on. So, as you said, it swings and roundabouts, really, isn't it? And
also there is that thing of if everyone's on one road, your other road is going to be quieter.
Absolutely, and 9 times out of 10 it is, isn't it? Take the road less travelled.
I mean, when we came back from Edinburgh the other day, we came down a road called Caister High Street, which runs from Caister down to Horncastle, down through the Lincolnshire Wolds, and it's a staggeringly good road. Absolutely brilliant, and no traffic on it. I mean, okay, it was a Monday, sort of mid-afternoon or early afternoon, but it's one of the most well-known, popular biking roads in Lincolnshire. Still didn't see any bikes there because we were there at the right time. You know, if everyone goes, right, I've got the book, I must ride this at 10 o'clock on Saturday morning, yeah, the road's big, but that's not a good thing. But it's not like organising a mass rally. And you know, you're not sending the Tour de France down on your favourite back road. Maybe one other bloke per week might find it who would otherwise not have got to enjoy it, who would have been stuck on a dual carriageway or a dull road. Got you.
Sam Maricum, great to read this. I'll be listening in for sure. Oh, nice one. Cheers, Sam. Thank you very much. Next one, Martin Atkinson. A TV channel offer you the chance to host a motorbike travel show, a bit like Greg Wallace's travel show thingy. Culture, reasons to go there, etc. Where's the first episode filmed?
Could be the Dolomites. Just because it'd be very scenic and look great on telly.
Yeah.
And I'm itching for an excuse to go back, but it's expensive, so someone else will have to pay. I mean, I don't know. That's the kind of thing I'd want to take to fresh places. But the danger is then you get there and you don't know enough. So if I was going to go back to places where I know, where I'm absolutely at home and confident and know where everything is, we'd start off in Briançon. We'd work our way, maybe do the route to Grandalp, or just go around, stay around there and do some of the unpaved roads as well, and up onto the high stuff, back and forth over the border into Italy. So probably the Alps, somewhere in the Alps, whether it's the Swiss Alps, the Dolomites, or the French Alps.
Yeah, you'd want that first one to be somewhere that you totally know, don't you? That you can make it as interesting as possible, and then later on in the series, you go exploring and try new stuff. Yeah.
Or maybe,
awesome.
Or maybe northern Spain. There's lots of lovely little hidden bits around the Picos. If you go to Portes, everyone knows the kind of the main basic triangle, and there are other little kind of easy bolt-ons, but there are loads of other little hidden gems around there. Do you know the road that goes through the cave?
Through the what?
There's a road that goes through a cave near there.
No, I don't think I do.
I'll tell you about it later. It's a secret. Viewers, it's a secret.
we're going to the Picos. We're going to the Picos, Simon. Come on, let's do a road trip.
Yeah, no, there's loads of little bits there. That would be a good place to go as well, if you get the weather.
That's the thing, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, I've been in the Picos where it has been scorching in the morning, and then literally over lunch, it's hailstoned on us. And then in the evening, it's beautiful again. And you're just like, what is going on? 4 seasons in a day. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Right, next one. Martin's got another part of his question. When you found out you were sharing a room with Dickie Vegas, were you happy or disappointed? And when he didn't turn up and you went out on the lash, were you doubly disappointed? Or when you returned from the said lash, a bit worse for wear, and found him asleep, were you tempted to take advantage? What? I think we got a Dickie Vegas fan.
No. Well, it was the first time I met him, so stumbling in was definitely the best way to do that. But yeah, no, he was fine, but he's not my type. He's not tall enough.
He's one of these show boys, isn't he? One of these pretty boys, Dickie. Love you really, Dickie. Love you really. Oh, and another one from Martin. Riding a Honda C90 the length of the Pan American Highway, or a Harley Davidson Road King through the Himalayas? Which would you do?
Probably the C90. Mostly because I'd be confident that it would do the entire length of it without any mechanical or functional issues. If you get anything too tricky, you can pick a C90 up and carry it over it. I'm not picking it up broken.
See, I think this is probably my mindset. I'm just like Himalayas. I want to go to the Himalayas, so I don't care what it is I'm riding. I go Himalayas. And then with the Road King, you're going to break down. So not just because it's a Harley, but you're going to break down, aren't you? With a big old bike like that and a place like that, you will break down, and that opens up the whole adventure side of the journey to you. It'd be boring if you just got there with no issue, wouldn't it?
Oh no, I like that.
Do you?
Why waste a day cursing at something mechanical when you could be actually riding?
Yeah, but it's the people you meet because of that. You know, you're forced then to look for help from strangers and hopefully get some help from them and see where that goes. You know, you meet other people, and I enjoy all that.
You meet people at other times. You don't have to be desperate. You can meet them with a smile on your face rather than kind of a air of desperation.
Yeah, I get you. I just want to go to Himalayas. I'd love to ride around there. Be awesome.
Yes, there are some roads there that look astonishing. But the one thing at the back of my mind is Pan American, much better Mexican food.
Yeah. Next one, Shane Jaspriza. Favourite road in Australia?
Omeo Highway, no doubt about it. It's just astonishing.
Which one?
The Omeo Highway, which goes...
Where's that?
Down through the Snowy Mountains. It runs from Albury to Omeo, I think it is. And then you can do a lovely loop. I wrote about it on my blog. You go down to Omeo, and then you come back up over... what's the high road? I'd have to look at it on a map to tell you, but it is all the details are on my blog. If you scroll down low enough to the, I think there's a blog story called Aussie Todd and the B500, right. Because it's like the tail of the drag, but on an Australian scale. Yeah. So whereas the dragon's only 11 miles long, this is about 110 miles. Yeah. And it's just
Snowy Mountains. Is that the one in the south? Is that right down in the south of Australia and sort of Canberra way, all around there?
It's south of Canberra, yeah.
I think I've done it.
It is quite astonishing. I mean, it's over Mount Hotham, so it goes over Australia's highest road when you come up. B500 is the Great Alpine Way, right. And there's a lovely spur road up to top of Mount Buffalo, which is really worth doing. Sometimes these kind of dead end spur roads in the mountains have some of the best riding, and you get to do them twice because you've got to go up and you go, we'll turn around and go back down again. But yeah, the Omeo Highway that's a mind-blowingly good road. Absolutely brilliant.
I might have ridden that on my world trip with Shane. I think I rode with you, Shane. I'm almost positive you were in the group when the whole group of bikers took me from sort of Melbourne way almost all the way across to Canberra, and we did some stonkingly good roads along there up, and I'm sure we went through the Snowy Mountains, and yeah, that road you're talking about sounds familiar. Shane, let me know, mate, if I've done that road. I think I did. That was probably my favourite riding part of Australia, was down that bottom part. It was great fun. Great fun.
Yeah, I mean,
next one.
That's good. I was going to say all of Tassie's good. There are loads of other good roads, and there's my friend Geezer took me around all of the great roads out around Adelaide. There's some really nice stuff out through the wine country there. Yeah. I mean, most of it's great. It's just when you head into the middle and it's just long and straight, red,
nothing.
And hot.
Yeah. Suicidal emus.
Yeah, but they're astonishing, aren't they? You kind of, I can get over how unsettling I found the first wild emu I saw, kind of wandering out of the bushes like something from the Jurassic. It just whoa, that just looks unnatural. Looks like a special effect brought to life when you see them out there.
You're like riding along, and over in the distance, you see like an emu or a couple of emus just trotting along, like alongside, same way as you, but a couple of 100 yards off to your right. They're there in the distance. And literally in the blink of an eye, they just turn 90 degrees and aim straight at you and sprint. The next thing, they're literally aiming for you. Like they're the dumbest animals ever.
They're just oversized chickens, aren't they?
God, yeah, it's nuts. Absolutely, yeah. Anyway, Greg Turp, what would be your top 3 roads to ride in Europe, and try to exclude the famous ones?
Absolutely top of the list, Alta Verifique in southern Spain. If you buy the new book, it's in there. It's called Better Than Stelvio, because it is. It's absolutely astonishing. I mean, the first time I rode it, I looked at it on a map, and I knew it was used in a cycle race, so I turned up. And it is from the village of Verifique to the top, to the head of the pass, is about 15 miles. And I overtook one car, got to the top, and it's this astonishing zigzag, just absolutely beautiful. Stopped at the top, took some pictures, and watched as 2 boy racers came up to a big lay-by, sort of 3 or 4 hairpins below, and turned around. And that was it. That was the only traffic.
Wow.
I think one other car came in the other direction over as I was setting off. And it's almost as good on the other side, going down to, I think it's Besares and Tijuana. I can't do the Spanish pronunciation properly, but it's just amazing. It's surrounded, but there is so much other good riding around there.
Yeah.
Some of the roads on that route, there's one that goes up to a place called Ojanes. That's quite astonishing. And then there's some lovely natural single track roads. That route has probably 3 of the best not famous roads you could ride. I mean, for me, I really love the riding in the Cevennes in France. There's a road called, I think it's the D986, I think. I'm going to look it up so I can give the correct number. Where the hell is it? It's somewhere in here. It is the... I've lost it. Yeah, the D986. I got it right. And that is
Rain Man, proper Rain Man. I'm a good driver.
There are bits of it that are kind of like the Nürburgring, but without the Armco. Right. And then it goes over the top of Mount Aguillon, which is there's a big observatory at the top. And there's a run of hairpins, not as tight as Stelvio, because you've got a half a mile traverse, so you get time to get up 2 gears before you back down, and then it just drops down through a valley, and it's a big flowing road. That's an astonishing road that isn't used very often. And some of the roads in southern Italy are quite mind-blowingly memorable. I think because you've got such good riding through the Alps, especially for Brits, you kind of stick. Why would you go there? And you get through there and you get to Tuscany. Maybe you go over the Futa Pass to Mugello, and why would you go further? You go a bit further into Tuscany. But if you go down to, say, the Gran Sasso, there are some amazing roads further down. The further south you go, the quieter it gets, and you do increase the danger of donkeys. There's no 2 ways about that. You'll come around to find a 200-year-old, 3-wheel Piaggio 8 farting its way down the road at 6 miles an hour, or actual physical donkeys. And sometimes the roads deteriorate almost instantly. But there are some cracking roads as you get further down that kind of Apennine spine. The numbers of which I will never remember, but there's some great riding around L'Aquila, around Assisi, places where obviously the Italians know about them. They've got cities there and everything. But for those of us in Northern Europe, we don't tend to get down that far. We stop too soon.
It's true. Yeah, I was just going to say I've never explored like from Rome south. To be perfectly honest, in Italy, I've only done that top part. God, I chat to you and I'm just like, right, I'm packing the bike and I'm going. Let's just hit the road. Wow. Next one, Derek Saul. Are the road and tour books going to be updated at some stage? A lot of the roads have had speed limits imposed on them. All right.
I mean, the main run Bikers Britain was updated for 2019, so I can't see that being updated anytime soon. Whether they'll want to update the tours, I don't know. I mean, I think the reality is that speed limits are a fact of life. And initially, when I planned all those routes, I was picking roads that hadn't been blighted with what I call the bedwetters 50s.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're everywhere. There's nothing you can really do about it.
It's horrendous now, isn't it? It's just absolutely everywhere.
I mean, surfaces used to be the lottery, so I'd try and plan roads that had good surfaces. But of course now, some of the ones that had good surfaces have deteriorated. Roads that I avoided because they were crappy have been repaired.
Yeah.
I think the fundamentals remain pretty much the same. I'd be happy to update them. I mean, I am actually currently working on another British route book, which is quite different, much more focused on shorter, easy to ride routes. Sort of, meet up with your mates for a quick 2-hour ride kind of routes rather than the day-long ones. Just because feedback's that people like the big long day routes, but you only get to ride those once a year. Whereas if there's lots of short routes that are easily accessible, that's going to makes it easy to get out. So I'm in the throes of doing that, but that won't be out until next year.
Okay. All right, nice one. Next one, Phil Reader. Simon, how many days in the saddle do you have before you get fed up and think you now need a break from the bike, or do you never get that feeling?
Never had it. I did 4 months straight without. The only time I had a day off was when the bike was in for service. Right. So before that, and obviously went flying to ship and pick up another bike. But yeah, didn't get it at all. I would have. I spent 2 months in the States riding every day apart from the 2 days when the bike was off the road for service. And even then, I'd get on them afterwards and do 100 miles or so. So yeah, it never hits me, but I might be odd in that respect. I like to see stuff.
Exactly, yeah, and it's nice to hear that because I'm sort of the same really. But I do have mates that are just like, even when we go away on a week's tour, they're like, "Oh, can we have a day off the bike? Can we plan one day where we're off the bike?" And I'm like, "We're going away on a bike holiday for a week, so there's a day travel either way on the ferry. We've only actually got 5 days, or sometimes 4, and you want to take a day off the bike?" I think they just use it as a reason to get away from the wife and the kids and stuff. It's just like it's their holiday.
Well, which is valid, but I generally, with the pre-planned trips I've stuck on my website, I've always tried to factor them so that there is scope for a rest day or 2. But I'm thinking that's because these will be taken by people with a pillion. It's unfair to make a pillion sit there every day. Yeah. Whereas, you can stop in one place for 2 nights and do an extra route if you're solo riding or it's a group. Yeah. But yeah, for me, it's I would still be riding 300 miles a day every day, 300 days of the year, with just the occasional weekend and day off for service if I could.
Good stuff. Next one, Gervais Stringer. Bruce, how do I access the podcast? Yep, I'm a bit of a Luddite. It's available on all main... Well, you must be able to access it if you're listening to this, or if you're watching the vid. If you're watching the vid, then just go on things like iTunes, Spotify, is it Google Podcast? Anywhere where you can access a podcast, this podcast will be available. And just type in Brew Time, BRU Time, and it will come up. Basically, it's there. Or if you're listening to the podcast at the moment, look at the show notes. If you're watching the video, read the vid description, and there'll be a link there to the actual website itself, TeapotOne.com, and you can listen to the podcast on that. Sorry, mate, little bit of admin there.
No, it's all good.
Next one, Trevor Neville. I think it's Neville. Trevor Neville. Simon's guides are fantastic, but what I really want to know is his helmet design, or is his helmet design a stock or custom painted one? No, that's your yellow lid with the black stripe, isn't it?
Here's one I had in 2005, I think. No, always custom, always unique, which was it was a deliberate thing on my part to build up my personal brand when working on the magazine. You know, I came into working on Bike, having been a journalist for 10 years already at that point, edited a guitar magazine, and I was working with guys that I'd been reading in bike mags because I'd always been riding. And I was a little bit overawed to be kind of in the same office as people like Cy Hargreaves and especially Tim Thompson, who was my editor on Bike. And Shark said, if someone will take our brand on, we'll do them a custom paint job. And at that point, I was wearing a yellow Arai that made me feel like the AA recovery man. So I put 2 strips of black tape on it just to make it a bit different. So I said, well, I'll give it a go. Helmet fits me really well. It's good comfortable things, top-end brand. So I'll switch those and just do a posh version of that. And it then, it stayed with me. I had a massive crash in it, so I know they absolutely work.
They work, yeah.
And for me, it became about making me identifiable, as opposed to just being another road tester. People could see pics and go, oh, that's Simon. And especially when I moved to Ride and we started doing all of the big touring stuff, it became very important, because I think that one of the big issues with all of these route books is there's a bit of faith required to say, well, yeah, but how do you know that? Have you just looked at a bloody map and just guessed? Well, no, I'm putting it together because I've been there and I've ridden it and I've done it. Yeah. And having the pictures where it's identifiably me, not just a generic motorcyclist. Yeah. I mean, it's that reassurance that it's been tested by the bloke who's written it. I mean, it must be said that with the current one, I've had some routes revised where I've had to, because I haven't been able to go out and check things, I've been asking friends over there, so look, of these 2 routes, which would you do? Which I did with I've always done with the routes that I did for Ride. There was one where I said, which of these 2 routes should I do? And I sent them to a friend in France. He said, I don't know. I'll tell you on Monday. And he went out like one on Saturday, one on Sunday. He said, actually, what you want to do is the half of that one and then the half of the other one, stick them together, and that's the route. So that's beautiful. The one we published. But it became for me, obviously there's a little bit of ego in it, but it became about just trying to make it so people could identify that, you can trust this because I've done it.
Yeah, it's interesting that the whole brand thing, it works, because the second you see like one of the pictures, you go on your Instagram and you look at these pictures of amazing roads and amazing scenery. The second you see you with that yellow lid and the 2 black stripes on it, it does make you think, oh, well, you've been there, you've done it. So you know that you know what you're talking about. Totally works. And people like Neaves's a good example, isn't it? Yeah, exactly, he has a custom lid as well, which is very identifiable. That is Neavesy.
I mean, it was a real source of controversy within the office, because it very quickly became there's a kind of core of people who had custom painted lids, because it shows the readers that it's really me doing it. And then there was a core of people who absolutely hated custom lids because it's just a bloody ego trip, isn't it? It's all about me. Real people can't afford to go and spend 250 quid or 500 quid for a paint job on an expensive helmet. You've lost touch with the real world. So but
then we're also reviewing bikes that cost 18 grand, 20 grand, and you're like, well, come on, do you know what I
mean? Yeah, exactly. So it's a tough balance to get right, and it is, especially now for me, being self-employed, doing it without the backing of the big business. It's much more important, I think, to kind of preserve that. But it's I'm having to. It's coming time for me to get a new one. I'm thinking, oh God, I'm gonna have to pay for it now.
I've actually, it's funny you mentioned the lid, because I've got a custom lid coming. actually, and it's I've been really fortuitous. I had Phil Drenfeld from Paint Nation on, and we were chatting on the podcast, and the next thing, a short time later, he was like, "I'm going to do you a custom lid. I've sorted you out a lid. What lid do you like to wear? I'll get that lid for you." And the way things have all worked out, basically, Shuey stepped up and provided one of those, because I always wear the Shuey Hornet.
Yeah.
So they've provided one of them, and Phil is he's coming up with some custom design. No idea what it's going to look like, but I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. There's going to be a 2-part series in it. So I filmed the first part where I went to did some work with Sports Bike Shop. So I went there and they went through the whole fitting process with like 5 different lids. And thankfully the Shuey came out with the one that fitted me. So I'm like, thank God for that. And then I had like a design consultation phase with Phil where we were just brainstorming ideas. And man, it was amazing to see, like, you know, the bloke's an artist, to see his ideas and my ideas out of our head. And he was just doodling them on paper. And all of a sudden I'm looking at this like little picture. Oh my God, I can't wait to see. I want to see what you're going to do here. So yeah, I've got to wait for that all to be done. I can't wait to see it. Awesome. Dude, that's all the questions.
Brilliant.
That's everything
That's
there.
a sensible time. That's brilliant.
It's not bad. Yeah, I'm trying to, the feedback I've had is the sort of 3-hour podcasts. People like drivers and stuff, they like them because they can just put them on and they can listen to them. But most people are like, you know, the sort of hour to 2 hour and a half. That's a sweet spot for most folks. So there will still be 3-hour podcasts, definitely when there's booze involved. But I'm going to try and keep them sub 2 hours if I can.
That's good.
How's your cough?
Seeing you've been struggling through without doing the full Bob Fleming, so we're not too bad.
Dude, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. I'll pass it over to you. Is there anything you want to plug? Anything you want to give? Anyone you want to give a shout out to? I
mean, really, the only thing I need to plug is please look at the website and get a copy of the new book. You know, if you're thinking about going anywhere, whether it's UK, I mean, I've planned so many trips around Scotland for people this year to keep them off the busy routes. You know. But there are so many other areas. You know, if you're looking for somewhere fresh to ride, check out the website. If you want to get planning for Europe, please buy a copy of the new book. There are links on the website.
What is the web address?
It is simonweir.co.uk.
Gosh, nice and easy. There'll be links down below, folks. If you listen to the podcast, check the show notes out. If you're watching the vid, look at the vid description. Sorry, over to you.
No, that's it.
That's it. Awesome, man. I'll have a wee chat with you later. I've got loads of ideas in my head, mate. We need to hit the road. We need to do some stuff together, I think, and do some vid stuff. Right, Simon, absolute pleasure chatting with you, pal. Really, I've enjoyed it, and we'll get you back on again, no doubt, when you've got another book coming out and more roads for us to devour.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Enjoy the ride.
And you, man. And you. Stay safe. Folks, hope you've enjoyed this one. What can we say? Get the books. There's those 2 books there. There's this book here. There's just absolutely no reason to get yourself on out there. Keep looking after those that you love, but live your life. Woo-ha! Mate, I keep mucking up the end. It's like the last 6. I keep, even in the vids, I'm like, what do I say at the end? I've totally forgotten.